welcome back to our channel, dedicated viewers. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the heart-wrenching drama unfolding in Genoa City. We are thrilled to have you with us as we unpack the explosive, emotionally charged storylines that are shaking the very foundations of the Newman and Winters families. Grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let us explore the profound psychological depths together. The sterile, unforgiving fluorescent lights of Genoa City Memorial Hospital cast long, haunting shadows over the linoleum floors, serving as the bleak backdrop to one of the most agonizing crises the Winters family has ever faced. Lily Winters stands in the center of this medical purgatory, her entire world shattering into a million irreparable pieces. Her biological father, Malcolm Winters, lies in a critical care unit, his body actively failing him as he battles severe aplastic anemia. The ticking clock on his life has grown deafeningly loud. A miraculous lifeline had just been thrown to them when Kane Ashby, defying all odds, was confirmed as a perfect bone marrow match. It was a moment of profound, tear-filled salvation. But that fleeting hope was violently ripped away when the Genoa City Police Department stormed into the Genoa City Athletic Club, slapping handcuffs on Kane and dragging him away on fabricated corporate espionage charges. Instead of being prepped for a life-saving transplant, Kane is locked in a holding cell, and Lily is left suffocating in the agonizing realization that her father is going to die because of a billionaire's vindictive corporate gain. To truly understand the absolute devastation radiating from Lily, we must delve deep into her psychological state in this horrifying moment. Lily has spent her entire life navigating the complex waters of her paternity, mourning the late Neil Winters while desperately trying to build a lasting, meaningful connection with Malcolm. Just as that bond was being solidified by the ultimate act of sacrifice, the cruel machinery of the Newman Empire crushed it. Lily is standing in the hospital corridor, trembling with a mixture of sheer terror and an escalating, volcanic fury. She knows Kane is innocent of these specific charges. She knows Victor Newman has weaponized an artificial intelligence programmed to frame Kane and Phyllis Summers. In my opinion, this is how Lily is protecting herself from pain, by transforming her suffocating, paralyzing grief into a blinding, laser-focused rage directed entirely at the Newman family, using her fierce anger as an impenetrable shield against the terrifying reality of her father's imminent mortality. By focusing on the injustice of Kane's arrest, she avoids drowning in the sorrow of Malcolm's fading heartbeat. The sheer, unadulterated cruelty of the ongoing corporate war between Victor Newman and Phyllis Summers has never been more glaringly apparent than it is in this hospital hallway. Victor, operating with his trademark God complex, has utilized a highly advanced AI software to generate flawless, fabricated emails and financial documents. His sole objective was to reclaim Newman Enterprises and destroy Phyllis, punishing her for her hostile takeover and her ruthless decision to drug Kane to execute her plans. However, Victor's insatiable thirst for corporate dominance completely blinded him to the human collateral damage of his actions. By instructing Victoria Newman to hand this forged evidence over to District Attorney Christine Romalotti, Victor set off a legal chain reaction that directly resulted in Kane's arrest. Victor Newman does not care that a man is dying in a hospital bed. He only cares about the name on the top of his corporate headquarters. This terrifying lack of empathy is the catalyst for the profound shift about to occur. Standing quietly in the shadows of the hospital corridor, observing Lily's heartbreaking breakdown, is Nikki Newman. Nikki did not come to the hospital for Malcolm, but rather as a woman desperately seeking a moment of quiet refuge from the catastrophic explosion of her own life. Nikki is currently operating at her absolute breaking point. The Newman matriarch is drowning in a sea of maternal trauma and marital devastation. Just days ago, she committed the ultimate act of marital defiance by smuggling Jack Abbott into the Newman ranch to stage an intervention for her son, Nick Newman. Nick is currently battling a severe, life-threatening addiction to fentanyl and cocaine, a nightmare born from the trauma inflicted by the psychotic Matt Clark in the Las Vegas Sahara Desert. Nikki knows that Victor's endless obsession with control, his ruthless use of his children as pawns in his war against Matt Clark, and his toxic brand of love have directly contributed to Nick's downward spiral. As Nikki watches Lily collapse into a chair, burying her face in her hands as her sobs echo down the empty hallway, a profound psychological mirror is held up to the Newman matriarch. Nikki looks at Lily and sees the exact reflection of her own agonizing maternal helplessness. Nikki knows the unique, soul-crushing terror of watching a loved one slip away while powerful men play dangerous games with their lives. She remembers the absolute horror of realizing Nick was bleeding internally in a collapsed bunker, poisoned by tainted drugs, all while Victor prioritized his grand revenge schemes. Nikki sees that Victor's indirect hand in Nick's suffering perfectly mirrors his direct, undeniable hand in Malcolm's impending death. The realization hits Nikki with the force of a freight train. Victor's ruthless machinations are no longer just business tactics. They are weapons of mass destruction that are actively killing innocent people. This epiphany triggers a monumental psychological shift within Nikki Newman. For decades, she has stood by Victor, enduring his affairs, his crimes, and his relentless cruelty, always justifying it under the guise of protecting their family. But the illusion has finally shattered. The intervention with Jack Abbott proved that Victor would rather assert his dominance than humbly accept help to save his own son. Now, seeing Lily destroyed by Victor's fake evidence, Nikki reaches her absolute limit. In my opinion, this is how Nikki is protecting herself from pain, by actively dismantling the toxic empire that has poisoned her family. Severing her blind loyalty to Victor so she no longer has to bear the agonizing, soul-destroying guilt of being an accomplice to his endless collateral damage. By taking action against him, she reclaims her own moral agency and escapes the suffocating role of the silent, complicit wife. With a newfound, steely resolve, Nikki steps out of the shadows and approaches the devastated Winter's heiress. The contrast between the two women in this secluded, dimly lit corner of the hospital is striking. Lily, young, fiercely protective, and currently broken by the weight of her father's failing health, and Nikki, elegant, hardened by decades of corporate and emotional warfare, and carrying the heavy burden of her family's dark legacy. When Nikki gently calls out Lily's name, Lily immediately stiffens, her eyes flashing with defensive anger. To Lily, anyone bearing the name Newman is the enemy, the very architects of the nightmare she is currently living. But Nikki does not offer empty platitudes or corporate apologies. Instead, she offers a raw, bleeding vulnerability that immediately disarms the younger woman. Nikki sits beside Lily and speaks with a quiet, trembling intensity about the agony of watching Nick struggle with his addiction. She speaks of the Vegas explosion, the terror of Matt Clark, and the devastating realization that Victor's actions always carry a body count. Nikki validates every ounce of Lily's fury. She openly acknowledges the monstrous nature of Victor's current plot, admitting that her husband has crossed a moral threshold from which he can never return. This shared trauma, this mutual understanding of what it means to love someone who is being systematically destroyed by the Newman machine, creates an instant, unbreakable bond between them. Nikki is no longer speaking as Victor Newman's wife. She is speaking as a mother, a survivor, and a woman who refuses to let another family be destroyed on the altar of Victor's ego. It is in this sacred, hidden space that Nikki drops a bombshell that will alter the course of Genoa City history forever. Leaning in close, her voice barely above a whisper, Nikki reveals the ultimate secret of Victor's digital fortress. She tells Lily that despite Victor's immense intelligence, his arrogance is his greatest weakness. Victor did not just create the fabricated AI evidence. He kept a highly encrypted, hidden backup of the original, unaltered data on a private server located deep within Newman Tower. Victor's hubris dictated that he keep the proof of his own forgery, perhaps as a twisted trophy of his technological triumph over Phyllis. Nikki reveals that she knows exactly where this server is located and, more importantly, she possesses the biometric access codes required to breach the executive security levels. The terms of this unprecedented alliance are laid out with absolute clarity. Nikki proposes a highly dangerous, treasonous pact. She promises to help Lily infiltrate Newman Tower, bypass the world-class security systems, and extract the original data that will definitively prove the emails against Kane and Phyllis were entirely generated by artificial intelligence. However, Nikki sets one ironclad condition. Lily must swear to use this explosive evidence solely to exonerate Kane Ashby and secure his immediate release so he can perform the bone marrow transplant for Malcolm. Nikki is handing Lily the nuclear launch codes to the Newman Empire, but she demands that the weapon be used for salvation, not vengeance. Lily, staring at the woman she once viewed as an untouchable adversary, sees the absolute sincerity in Nikki's eyes and agrees without a moment of hesitation. To fully grasp the magnitude of this moment, we must analyze the sheer gravity of Nikki's betrayal. This is not a simple corporate leak. This is the definitive, explosive end of Nikki's loyalty to Victor Newman. By conspiring to expose his federal crimes, Nikki is actively ensuring the destruction of his master plan and potentially exposing him and their daughter Victoria to severe criminal prosecution. District Attorney Christine Romalotti is already sharpening her knives, believing she finally has Phyllis dead to rights. When this AI forgery is exposed, the legal blowback will be catastrophic. Nikki is fully aware of the consequences. She knows that when Victor discovers she was the architect of his downfall, their marriage will be entirely, irreversibly incinerated. Yet, she is willing to burn her own life to the ground to ensure Malcolm Winters gets to take another breath. The logistics of their impending heist add a thrilling, high-stakes layer to the emotional drama. Lily has already assembled a war room consisting of Devin Winters, Nate Hastings, and Holden Novak. Holden, with his exceptional technical skills, has been desperately searching for a microscopic metadata flaw in the files. Now, with Nikki providing inside access to the physical servers, Holden will not have to hunt for a needle in a haystack. He will be handed the smoking gun. The psychological dynamic of this team is fascinating. Devin, who has been blinded by his toxic hatred for Kane, will be forced to swallow his pride and work alongside the Newman matriarch to secure Kane's freedom. The realization that Victor's wife is doing more to save Malcolm than Devin's own petty grievances will be a bitter, necessary pill for him to swallow. This storyline represents a profound thematic shift in the landscape of the young and the restless. We are witnessing the ultimate collision between cold, calculating corporate warfare and the desperate, bleeding heart of human survival. Victor Newman has spent his entire life believing that he is the undisputed puppet master of Genoa City, manipulating lives, orchestrating arrests, and playing God with absolute impunity. He currently sits in his executive chair, smugly satisfied with his apparent victory over Phyllis, completely oblivious to the fact that his own wife is currently plotting his spectacular demise in the basement of a hospital. The poetic justice of Victor's downfall being orchestrated by the woman he claimed to love, driven by the very empathy he lacks, is a masterclass in soap opera storytelling. As we look toward the upcoming episodes, the anticipation is nothing short of electrifying. The unlikely, powerful alliance forged between Nikki Newman and Lily Winters in the darkest corner of the hospital is a testament to the enduring strength of women who refuse to be collateral damage. They are two warriors from opposing kingdoms, uniting under the banner of preserving human life. The impending infiltration of Newman Tower promises to deliver heart-pounding suspense, but it is the deep, psychological resonance of their shared pain that elevates this narrative to legendary status. Genoa City will never be the same once the truth is unleashed, and we cannot wait to watch every single second of the fallout.